Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are back. It's Friday the 13th of December. I've only just clocked that. And yeah, we're looking ahead to game week 16. It's game week 16 already. Like
Wow.
that's
Left flies.
a lot of the season done, isn't it?
It is, and you're not even having fun so far.
I mean, I keep when you go doing badly at the start of the season, you keep going, oh, it's all right. It's only game week 7. It's only game week 8. Loads of football to be played. Game week 16, you're almost halfway there.
Yeah, it's it's not easy. It's 6:05 here in San Diego, so I'm just getting my head around the day. You're in the early afternoon, mate. What have I missed so far? Is there any big FPL news that I've missed team news wise?
Yeah, I mean, Arteta has spoken. Not that that ever makes a difference because he doesn't often tell us much. But today, he's actually said a little bit more than the normal. Like he was quoted saying, "Gabriel was trained with the team. There's a possibility he is available." He used the term possibility. He also ruled out Calafiori. So he's ruled out a player. He said there's a possibility about Gabriel. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. I mean, other news.
Gabriel's not in the squad.
Yeah, exactly. I bet. I mean, Pep's spoken. Rico Lewis is suspended. Apparently, Foden's available. Kovacic is available. Interesting. But other than that, like, I don't think there's been much news. Oh, Maresca didn't say much, other than we know Fofana and Reece James are still weeks away. But I expect Fofana and James to be weeks away for a while. Oh, and Mudrik's ill and Pedro Neto's suspended. But other than that, like, pretty dull day in terms of press conference news. Let us know if I missed anything in the chat. Oh, Diogo Jota could return to the squad.
Yes, he could.
Against Fulham. Newcastle was massive, isn't it?
Just what we wanted. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Obviously, my boys Fulham have got a big game against Liverpool. We've got a lot of captaincy dilemmas too to talk about. But this Gabriel thing is interesting. I mean, in our members chat, Matt Perry said this morning, do we keep Gabriel or do we swap him to Timber? I am fed up of having Gabriel now. But if he's going to be back, then it's fine. But if he's missing again, it's a real big miss when he's taken up that section of your budget. I haven't made any other transfers, so I could do a Gabriel transfer. What do you think? What's your hunch on Gabriel and what would you do?
I just know all season I want him. If I use a transfer getting rid of him, I'm using another transfer getting him back in. So I'm very happy just playing him flagged and not getting the points. It's annoying, and it's got to be said, in the Fulham and Man United games, the last 2 games, if you had made that switch to Saliba, you'd be 24 points better off. Like, Saliba's at a 15 and a 9, Gabriel's at a 0 and a 0. But Gabriel is the best Arsenal defender to own, and there's a chance he's back. And even if he's not, it sounds like if there's a possibility this week, you would like to think Saturday, the 21st of December, that's the next Premier League game for Arsenal. There is a week in between those 2 fixtures. Then he'd be back. So, yeah, I'm very happy sticking with Gabriel. It's not even a consideration for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Let us know what you guys think and whether you're going to be sticking with Gabriel or not. Is it from the concussion? Is that what is? We're still looking at the lag from the concussion?
I don't think it is, because it wasn't a concussion sub. It might be. I think there's a chance it is, but like, publicly, it's not from the concussion. No, it's from the injury he had in Lisbon, which was he came off with 5 minutes to go, didn't he?
Yeah, that's fair enough. We got a super chat in. Thank you, Ben. Good way to start my day at 6 a.m. with £2 coming through the door. Thank you, mate. Pedro to Isak and Johnson to Enzo. I mean, it sounds good to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, bringing Isak and Enzo, they are 2 of the players. We're going to look at Isak. We're going to look at Trent. We discussed Enzo a lot on the Monday show and Wednesday show. But yeah, good players to be bringing in. João Pedro's a dangerous sell, though. Like,
he is a dangerous sell. I mean, this is the problem with it, isn't it? Like, he's you're scared not to own him. That's the problem with João Pedro, and especially if you have had him in your team and then you get him out there, you just know he's going to bang. Obviously, hasn't been like that good recently. There's been a lot of 2-pointers for João Pedro, but that just makes you think he's due one, doesn't it? That's the problem, because he doesn't.
What do you know about him as well? Like, João Pedro, I mean, there's a few links there, isn't there? Liverpool and similar in terms of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's
Arsenal.
too much in there. I think that it's not a massive surprise that he's going to pop up on people's radars now because he's made a really good impact any time he's come into that team.
Yeah.
My personal feelings, he probably stays with Brighton for another year. But yeah, you never know. It's obviously, teams like a player like this, and Brighton are a good breeding ground for the rest of the Premier League.
Oh, we've got to talk about the new chip. Should we wear the Christmas jumpers? Oh, do you know what, Matt? I'll wear a Christmas jumper on the Monday show next week. Monday the 16th, 2 p.m.
I own one.
I've got a Roberto Baggio one.
How have you? You got a football-related Christmas jumper?
Classics. Yeah. Classic football shirts when they dropped theirs a couple of years ago. I jumped on it.
I did actually go on. There's a group of English lads out here that I loosely knew a couple of them, and I met up with them on Saturday, and they were doing like an English lads Christmas do in San Diego, like a bar crawl. Right. And they all had Christmas jumpers on. I met them late, and I'd been out with somewhere else. I wasn't going to wear one either way, but yeah, they were all like properly like kitted out. It was like being in like Streatham or like Clapham for the afternoon. Like it was just like in this bar crawl of like these like proper English lads. It was like going out after you've played like Saturday amateur football. It was really good actually. But yeah, the Christmas spirit is living on over here thanks to a load of English lads that seem to have a good group actually over here. Loads of questions are coming in. We will answer as many as we can over the next hour. What's your hunch on this hour? What's your hunch, mate, on this game week? I mean, are you expecting it to be a high scoring one? We've had some really tough game weeks in FPL this season. As you look at it this week, it does feel like one we can be much more optimistic about because of the big teams and the fixtures they've got.
I think so. Like I look at the fact that we'll run a captaincy poll now. Palmer versus Salah versus Saka. All three of them have got good home fixtures straight away. Like, you're hoping you're on the right end of that because you could very easily back Palmer or Salah, and actually it's Saka versus Everton that goes and gets the hat trick and the other two blank. Like, you wouldn't put it past them. So but the fact we're spoiled for choice and there's three good options, straight away you're looking at it and go, this really should be a high scoring game week. So that, and then you look at some of the budget forwards, the likes of Cunha, great fixture. Isak, and if you've got a Newcastle attacker, again, great fixture. This should be, in theory, a really high scoring game week.
Yeah.
It comes down to who you're going to prioritize for your transfers. Like, so many are going after Isak this week. I completely get it. Leicester, Ipswich, Villa are the next three. Like, it's a great run of 3 games.
Yeah.
He's the most bought-in player.
It is.
Yeah. But then Enzo, again, third most bought-in player is Enzo.
Are you getting Enzo? Because you've talked this up more than anyone I've heard in the last week.
I am. I'm getting him. And then, do you know what? I want to manage expectations straight from the off with Enzo. We shouldn't expect returns every week. He's a 5 million enabler. He has been getting returns every week. He's had a 12, a 9, a 5, and a 9 in the last 4, but that won't continue. But
he's definitely starting.
Yeah, he's definitely starting. He's definitely playing 90, or should be playing 90. He's wearing the captain's armband. He's on half the set pieces, and he's playing as a number 8, not a number 6. So with all that in mind, and Chelsea score more goals than everyone else, we should get some returns. If we don't, it's not the end of the world. He's 5 million. And again, when you're buying Enzo, you're probably buying him as your 8th or 7th attacker. But with me, like, I've got Rodgers and Enzo, 2 5 million mids. They'll rotate. I'll always be benching one of them, and I'm fine with that. But it's who that allows. The other big name of the game week is Trent. Like, Isak and Trent are the 2 big headlines. And it's just going, like, is now the time to jump on Trent? And I'm going there, but I do fully appreciate we haven't seen the best of Trent this season.
Yeah, fair enough. John says, don't overlook Saka. Yeah, I mean, in the poll at the moment, Saka only has 6% of the vote. Oh, big man's joined us.
Hey, big man.
Mate.
Hi, Johnny. Hi, Dean. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're okay, mate. We're just looking at a few captaincy options at the moment. Who would you captain in game week 16? Palmer currently leading the way on 53%. Salah has 30, well, it's jumping around, but 38 to 42%, depends where we're settling. Saka only has 6% of the vote at the moment. Saka playing Everton at home.
Banged in the week as well.
Extremely low.
I had him in the Champions League game, and he got me like 16 points or something. It was great. Like, he's playing good. He's playing well. I mean, big man, you're set on Palmer.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I mean, we mentioned earlier in the previous discussion that when you look at the bookmaker probabilities, Palmer is actually ahead of Salah. Palmer is 76% score assists. Salah is 72, and the likes of Saka, Isak, Haaland, all those guys are 67 to 68%. So I think there's a clear gap over there. But I think what swings it for me is are the Brentford numbers. I think the Brentford numbers are just terrible, really. When you look at their XGC away from home, they're conceding an XG of 2 per game away from home, and that's only I think Leicester and Ipswich are faring worse. So that just goes to show that they're a bottom three defense basically away from home, and Chelsea in the form they're in. I can't see Brentford really putting up too much of a fight from a defensive point of view. While Fulham, on the other hand, they're conceding 1.3 xG per 90, which isn't terrible actually. Generally, over the course of the years, Fulham have inferior defensive numbers to Brentford, but this season around, it's sort of flipped, where Brentford's numbers are actually really poor and Fulham's are decent. They aren't terrible actually.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, Fulham going to Liverpool without Joachim Anderson, without Calvin Bassey, without Tom Cairney, without Reece Nelson. There's somebody else as well missing, but it's not going to be Fulham's strongest team.
Who's playing centre back? Who are the two?
Who will play this weekend?
Yeah, like without Bassey and Joachim Anderson.
It's a tough one because yes,
Lukic,
that is.
Can you play centre back?
Who, sorry?
Lukic, does he slot in at centre back? No,
he hasn't really done it. No, so the obvious, obviously, Issa Diop is like the nailed on starter, and then we have this guy. I don't even know how you pronounce his name because he's barely played so far. Jorge Cuenca, Cuenca. He's had a couple of outings so far this season. I would imagine he plays. I would imagine he gets the start because he is a centre back and he was signed to like play when we need him. So I imagine it's him and Diop. They wouldn't have played many minutes together across this season. Castagna cannot play centre back against Liverpool.
We've seen him centre back in a 3, and he's been rubbish. Castagna, when I've seen him. I don't want to be seeing
that. So yeah, this is a problem for Fulham. Yes, Robinson against Salah is a good battle, and Robinson could potentially match him athletically. But we saw against Arsenal last weekend, Robinson do well against Saka. Saka did score right at the end. It was ruled out, but Saka did score at the far post, getting in front of Robinson at the end of that game. And it was an unlucky moment for Arsenal, like Martinelli just making that slight misstep to go offside. Like, really, they should have won the game in that moment. So Saka did have that moment. People still going to look at Arsenal in terms of set pieces. Did you see in midweek what Monaco did to Arsenal in order to try to combat the threat?
No.
They took their players and moved 3 of them up to the halfway line. So it gave Arsenal something to think about. And Arsenal were like, oh, we can't have us all up here, like doing our thing, our dance at the back post where we charge in, because if this ball gets cleared, they score. It's actually, it's not like rocket science, is it? But just by taking that out of the equation and putting the ball onto the other side of the court, like you're like, oh yeah, you just take it out. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see teams now deploying that tactic against Arsenal and being like, okay, we're going to get 3 men and go and stand up in the halves, because that way they can't have the same number of players in the box for us to have to deal with this. So it's something to look out for. I'm not saying it's going to stop Arsenal from scoring from set pieces, but it's about time somebody came up with some sort of tactic to try to stop them, because so far people really don't know what to do about that. Burragaz says Trent scored in both games against Fulham last season. So tempted. Thanks for the reminder. He did. One of them was an absolute banging free kick.
Nice.
So yeah, there's definitely a fear factor of Trent when he gets in range for this one.
Big man, how do you feel about Trent this week?
I think he's a terrific option overall. I mean, he should do well this week as well, because I mean, I would expect Fulham to score, but when you look at the bookmaker probabilities, Liverpool are actually right up there. I mean, their defensive rate has been fairly strong as well. So it is tough to call whether or not Liverpool will keep a clean sheet or not. But I just think he's a very good buy. For a lot of people who are in the market for a defender this week and who can afford to go there, I think Trent is a great buy. attacking numbers are still right up there. I know attacking returns haven't been as consistent as we normally tend to see, but he's still first for XGI among defenders, so that's saying something.
There we go. That's my boy. I'm buying Trent. We're going to see our transfers later, guys. Stay tuned for that. We got a little bit of data on Trent to just show the last couple of weeks, because it is interesting. Like, he was injured, but then he went and played 72 versus City, and in that game he got 8 points, but I'm pretty sure he hit the post, and it was like, oh, maybe this is Trent again showing more attacking threat. And against Newcastle, he was benched 23 minutes, Dean. Two assists.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll see. We haven't really seen a trend of it necessarily across this season so far, have we? But Trent is Trent, and when he turns it on, there's not much you can do about it. So teams do have opponents that they favour, and Trent clearly does like playing against Fulham. It's not Fulham at their strongest. I don't expect Fulham to go there and get battered. I don't think it's going to be like a 4 or 5, but equally, I don't expect Fulham to go there and win. So it's a tough one. I hate it, obviously, because I'm talking about my own team, and I always tend to just accept that we're going to lose and just go the other way and tell everyone to just don't pick our players, pick their players. This is the dilemma I've got on the captaincy, because
you don't want to go Salah.
Probably going to go Salah. No. Because at least if he scores, I've got that. Oh, at least I got some extra points in fantasy.
I mean, the centre back problems are there.
They are.
Do we how big man does this play into your thinking that Palmer didn't play in the week and Saka and Salah did? The rest, how big is that for you? Because that's what I think swung it for me.
It is one of the extra 1%ers that I take into consideration. But I think Palmer, I just look at him as a superior pick to Salah this week. I don't think you need that extra 1%er to actually make that decision. I think, given the numbers and the data, it should be a straightforward decision.
Yeah, it's tough. But yeah, Trent is looking good. We have got a super chat in. We've got Timothy paying us 15 MYR. I think that's Malaysian money. We'll come to that one in a second, because Cameron's already on the screen. He's given us another £2. Much love, lads. Fass, Bruno to Trent, Gordon for free. What do you reckon of that one, lads?
Big man?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bruno is a keep for most teams, as mentioned earlier. But yeah, I guess the dilemma is very similar to Gianni's team, because Gianni is also selling Bruno to get Trent. So I know the Gianni will obviously support the transfer. But again, I think it's really difficult to tell without looking at the rest of the team. I mean, there might be higher priority transfers to make.
Yeah.
How do we feel about... Let's poll it. Let's do a poll. Seeing as the super chat came in, and it's relevant for my team. If you can only own one, is it Bruno? Let's chuck Isak into the mix, because for a lot of teams, if you're going Trent, you're not going Isak. So Trent, Isak, or Bruno, 3 different players, 3 different positions, 3 different price points. They're close, but there's a big difference between Trent and Isak, like 1.5 million. But still, you can probably only have one for the festive period. Which one do you want in your team? Yeah.
Trent.
I'm going Trent out of those 3, and it means I'm selling Bruno.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree. I would go Trent as well. Now, the fact the potential double is just swung it now at this point, because it is probably going to be a transfer for later anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's get to Timothy's super chat. He says, yes, Malaysian money here. It's very nice. Thoughts on Bruno to Enzo, Gvardiol to Trent, and Vissa to Isak for a -4, or just do Bruno to Trent and Greaves to Trent. You can't get Trent twice, as good as he is.
I think he probably wanted to write Bruno to Enzo and Greaves to Trent. I think that probably would.
Yeah, that makes more sense, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing I'm sure about there is getting rid of Gvardiol. But apart from that, what's your guys' hot take on what you're suggesting?
Trent feels like a big upgrade. I mean, what do you make of it, big man? You like Bruno, I know, but I also know you're probably happy to prioritize Trent.
Yeah, that's true, basically. So a lot of these teams, I assume, are in a position where they already have Salah, Saka, Palmer, and they don't want to sell them, and selling Bruno is the only route to Trent, like is the case with your team, Gianni. So in that case, it makes sense.
Guys, when you're voting in the poll, it's buy one of these players for the festive run, not for this week. You can only own them for the next, like you're owning them for the next month. Which one do you want in your team? Obviously, no one's buying Bruno over Isak this week, but for the festive run, that's what we're thinking with that question. Guys, we have been on for 26 minutes and we haven't spoken about the mystery chip. And Big Man, you just alluded to double game weeks. So before we go there, give us your take on the mystery chip, because I've seen Dean's. Our members have seen Dean's. Not our members. We put a video out about Dean's mystery chip, which I loved. So, what's this? Statman FPL.
It's basically explaining the rules.
It's an explainer, yeah. It's just an explainer.
Shout out Statman FPL.
But yeah, exactly. So we all know what it is by now, the assistant chip. If you don't, then let us know. We can explain it, but it's on screen to read about right now. It's probably the easiest way to deal with it. Yeah, my hunch is I'm going to sit this out at the start when it comes out, and I'm going to wait until probably April, May time. Yeah, Big Man, what's your take on it? Because we haven't heard that yet.
I don't exactly have a strong opinion on the chip. I think there are two perspectives from which I look at it. The first one is that it's a bit too swingy for my liking. That I think it's one which can lead to big variance, and that's not something that I necessarily like, because I see this chip being worth 40 to 45 points if it's played well. And I don't exactly like the fact that they've also introduced it at a point where a lot of people have already used their chips, and had this been announced earlier, some people might have not done that, right? So I think I would have appreciated a bit more clarity at a different time. Having said that, I think it's something which the engaged managers can take advantage of, and I assume a lot of engaged managers will likely do well because of the new chip.
Let us know your thoughts, guys. We want to flash up some thoughts on screen. We'll probably come away from the description and just chat about it, because you've probably read the words or seen it on. I mean, FPL Discomfort, the swingier the better. I must admit, I do agree. The swingier the better for me.
Could be good for you, G.
If you're having a bad season, it's a good thing. If you're Big Man, I get it. You don't want swingy, and I wouldn't. But if you're me and you're 1.7 million or wherever I am, that's a good thing, because I might just be able to jump on the upside. The big thing that jumps out to me is those 10 bonus points. 5 places above you in the table. I'm not putting it on a slot. I'm not putting it on a wrestler. I want
You're putting it on Dice
manager at best.
You're putting it on Dice.
Dice for the double game week as well. It comes into play in game week 24. That's the same week. Is that the same week we're thinking there might be a double?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
that is right.
I mean, in my video I said I wouldn't fancy using this chip in February because of the weather in England, and I could see like postponements coming up and stuff, You
scaremongerer.
But I was like, February is my least favorite month of the year in England, right? Because it's freezing. It's so miserable, February. And there is that danger of games being postponed. And like,
we have just had one, which is fair, but it was the first one in like 5 years from the weather.
The first postponement in 5 years?
What, in the Premier League? The last one I can think of is Burnley Spurs, which was about 5 years ago. 4 years.
I think you're exaggerating a little, but
I mean, I do that.
I can't back up myself. I can't back up. But anyway, and the other thing, I was like, that's not the main reason anyway. I want other people to do the trial and error on this. I don't want to be the one that's learning the lessons, because it might not be, that you go chasing that 10-point bonus when you could have guaranteed 3 runs of 6 points in the bag plus the goals scored of one of the top teams. That might just be a much better strategy to get extra points in the bag rather than chasing Bournemouth, hopefully beating, I don't know, whoever, Arsenal, whatever. Is that really worth it when the likelihood is they don't win the game and you end up with nothing? That's the thing at the moment. The 10 points looks very enticing, and maybe it does end up being the case at the back end of the season. But right now, this league is so unpredictable anyway that you can't really know. At least at the back end of the season, you've got a better idea of who these games matter to, and like you look at those mid-table teams who've got nothing to play for, and at least then you might be like, okay, well, a team who is 15th has got more chance of beating a team that's 10th as well. So that's again another reason why I'll probably leave it back to April.
It's the table bonus which makes it very, very swingy, actually. And I think currently that's what I would be doing as well. I think I'm currently, if Everton have the double, I might go with Sean Dyche, and then maybe look at transferring him out in game week 25 for some other manager with a better fixture. That's going to be my strategy, because I don't think I'm going to let myself let go of the Liverpool triple up that I'd want. But it's difficult to actually triple up on Everton because there are not too many players you want. I mean, I only have Mikalenko. I might look at a McNeil, but I don't think I'll get Calvert-Lewin again, right? So
ever.
I mean, never say never, but I don't think it will happen this season, right?
We're all guilty of that. Yeah. We're all guilty of that. Dean's the only one that got some goals off Calvert-Lewin because he went
actually,
early.
Yeah, that early shout just about paid off, but barely.
When we saw that list of managers, it's an unfair advantage in a way. If you're a mid-table manager, you get the opportunity bonus, the 10 bonus. Arne Slot will never get that opportunity. So I like it for that. But I also think it's interesting. We'll just go back
Guardiola might.
Say again?
Guardiola might.
And if they keep
to a point where Man City are like 6th in the league.
I mean, this list
that
here
happens
is
at the start of Feb. Maybe I will go Guardiola.
Seeing the total points is nice. Arne Slot is actually top. So despite having an unfair advantage by not getting the bonus, just from pure goals scored and clean sheet points, remember it's +2 every clean sheet. Slot is top. Iraola is second. Marco Silva, Maresca, Arteta. So seeing Arteta, Maresca and Slot in the top 5, straight away you go, okay, there is an advantage to it. Highest ceiling, though, in terms of 1 3-week period, probably goes to the mid-table managers. And if we look last season, Crystal Palace, they had double game week in between 34, 35 and 36. They had 4 games, not 3 games. I think the points would have been something like 67 off Glasner, sorry. The ceiling for this chip is 70 points. The ceiling for bench boost is never 70 points. It never has been. For free hit, same. For triple captain, same. You're talking 20, 30 points for those chips, ceiling. We've got a chip now with a ceiling of more than double that. Like, absolutely like it.
It is a game changer. It is a game changer, for sure. What my question, though, is that you don't see Sean Dyche in the top 10 in this list. But now that he could have a potential double, do you think they'll price him up from 0.5 or will he be 1 million because of that?
No, because it has to be fixed pricing. They've said the managers are going to be priced from game week 24 to 38. So they can't put him higher just for that 1 3-week window at the start because people might want Dyche at the end of the season. So I think we're going to see it's 0.5 to 1.5. We're going to see Slot and Maresca at 1.5. And I think we're going to see Russell Martin and Gary O'Neill at 0.5, and I guess Dyche at 1.
I mean, there'll be a load of game by the time this comes out.
It's turned off the casual managers, doing it. It's not a good move for the casuals.
It isn't. But there's another thing that I'd sort of like to mention, that it's sort of obviously difficult to plan around it right now. But over the course of the season, for example, if you assume that this chip was available last season, if someone goes on a run like Glasner did, when Palace were low ranked and he took over and their underlying data was clearly showing improvement and they went on a run of wins and Mateta was scoring hat-tricks for fun in that period, then this ship could absolutely bang, right? So there's plenty of ways of playing this, actually.
Yeah, I haven't seen many people talk about the idea you can transfer managers. I think that's something that a lot of people are not looking at. I think it's like, you pick a manager and you've got them for 3 weeks. But that doesn't have to be the case, does it?
No, and it takes part of your transfer allocation. That's fine. Yeah. So the first time you bring a manager in, it's free because you hit the chip and you get that transfer for free. But then if you're moving between game weeks, different managers in that 3 game week window, you can absolutely use your transfer. And I wonder if we have, let's say game week 34 is a double game week, 35 is also a double, and 36, let's say it is, but let's say it's not. You might get 5 appearances instead of 3 because you go 2, transfer to another 2, transfer to 1. Yeah. So I do think like double game weeks are definitely the target here, which is really interesting because we're not going to get that many double game weeks. But when we get them, you're not going to be able to use your triple captain, your bench boost, your free hit, and your mystery chip. So some of those chips need to be now used in single game weeks. And actually, I've used my triple captain in a single game week. It's a bit annoying because Haaland didn't produce 2.4 actually against Southampton. But we're going to have to do that with some of our chips, which is fine.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But we got 6 weeks until it actually kicks in. So we've got a little while to get our heads around it. But yeah, it was interesting to talk about. Do you prefer it to the Heather? Just finally on it, says triple captain versus the new chip. They're very different.
I would abolish captaincy from this game because I'm dreadful at it. I hate captaincy, let alone triple captaincy.
Triple captaincy isn't powerful enough though, because you'd assume that whoever you triple captain, a lot of people will have him as captain in a normal double game week even anyway. So, I mean, it's effectively you're only gaining one player, maybe two fixtures if you play it in a double game week, but that's the ceiling really. This chip is an absolute game changer for those who are having a poor season.
Big man, from someone that spends a lot of time thinking about FPL, how far away was this chip to what you expected? Because for me, it was a million miles.
Exactly. I didn't expect something to be this big. I expected a chip which would have been worth, let's say, 20, 25 points, not something which could dramatically or drastically change the course of the season, right? But it's fine. I mean, I'm sure a lot of engaged managers will take advantage of it, and a lot of us will fall in the same boat. So I don't really want to be in a position where I'm complaining or moaning about it.
Big man, talk to us about a double game week, because many won't know about that. We think Liverpool double is going to drop in 24, but you who have your triple captainship don't think you'll spend it on Salah?
It depends really, because it depends on when I decide to play the assistant manager chip. I might triple captain Salah in 24. The fixtures are all right. It would have been better had it landed in 25 as was initially mentioned. But now it looks as if it's going to land in 24, where Liverpool are going to have Everton away and Bournemouth away, if I'm not mistaken. Good fixtures, not amazing, but pretty good fixtures, I guess. But it's not exactly something like a Leicester at home or Southampton at home, which would have been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, okay. Dean, what was your initial take? I saw your brilliant members video. And guys, if you haven't seen that sort of video Dean put out in the week is something it's usually just for channel members. But you're a fan, but how do you think your like more casual mates react to that? And I struggle to describe it to my work colleagues in under a minute. And all the other chips I can describe in one sentence.
Yeah. Half my mini league will not know what to do with it. And they won't put in the effort to really find out about it either.
Yeah.
So they'll just use it like on a whim. They'll either use it straight away in February because they're struggling, or they'll just leave it because they don't know what it is and just use it for the last 3 weeks when they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So that's, I imagine, what the trend will be across the board. So it gives us an advantage, the fact we already know what it is, the idea that we could start to like consider what a 3-week boost can do for our season with these managers. But yeah, as I say, my hunch is that I just hold out until a bit later in the season.
Yeah, okay. Should we do a poll? Just simple. Are you a fan of the mystery of the assistant manager chip? Yes or no? Just want to get sort of.
I've seen mixed opinions. So I assume the poll will be split as well, Jenny.
Yeah, I think so. I must admit, I was quite surprised. I made a YouTube video about it within the first hour. So I hadn't spent any time on Twitter, just got recording. I was buzzing. I thought it was really cool. I looked at my YouTube comments and it was like savage.
Really?
And I was quite surprised. I guess because it's turned it into more of a sort of gimmicky punt. But for once we're investing in the results of an actual football team rather than the performances of individual players and FPL points. This is based on winning football matches for the team.
This is more of a prediction game.
Manager, you're investing in a team, aren't you?
It's more of a prediction game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's some people don't play it for that reason as well. That's the thing. Like some people don't even necessarily watch football that like play FPL. They like study the data and they check the scores and they see who scored and they check the data. But they're not necessarily like checking how Crystal Palace are actually getting on that week over the course of a season. So yeah, there'll be some people that are frustrated with that because they're just interested in the player performances and not the teams.
It's not fantasy, it's betting, says Brian. But I would argue FPL is betting as well.
I mean, it's halfway there, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, there's become a member basically, more content like Dean's video.
Yeah. It was interesting. I still don't know how well I'll utilize it, and that's why I'm still wondering if I end up just picking a good manager that gets me win. But we'll wait and see. 20 minutes of the show left. Please do give us a like and subscribe today. Oh my goodness, Heather is watching us on a 65-inch TV today instead of on a. I mean, Heather, I've just got up. Like, I haven't done my hair. So apologies, you're having to look at me like that. I hope I look okay. Should have put a bit of makeup under the eyes. You two have got no excuse. You've had a day. Unless you've had a really stressful day, you've got no excuse. You should be looking good.
Yeah, Friday morning's like a daddy daycare for me, so I've had quite a stressful one.
It's more stressful, isn't it, than going to work? Definitely when you've had kids.
God, mate. Honestly, my wife has a much harder job than I do. She does work part time, but being sort of full time mum is much harder job than anything I'll ever do.
Exactly that. John says, "How, Heather? What TV channel are they on?" We're on YouTube. That's what we are.
The same channel you're watching on, my friend.
It's just you can get YouTube on your TV these days, John, and that's exactly where she'll be watching it.
Oh, I love it though. We've got Heather on 2 accounts, so that's double the viewership. Can you?
If everyone can do that, subscribe twice. We're away.
Yeah. There we go. No nursery on Fridays, Mr. T. There we go. Oh, maybe I should get my projector out again, says Evelcan. You'll be on 92 inches.
A 92-inch TV. Oh, blimey.
No. Should we see our teams? Before we do, we got to see the Isak. I don't know if we've seen the Isak graphic yet. Let's just talk about Isak because he's not featuring in mine or Big Man's team, and I know a lot of you will bring Isak in. We'll do a poll when we're showing the Isak team data. Just keen to know: will you own Isak game week 16? Yes or no? Just a simple yes or no. Will you own Isak in game week 16? I'm guessing like 30-40% will. Big Man, his ownership's only 20. Like he's the most bought in player of the game week.
Yeah, I mean, and he's someone I just don't think I'm gonna get, irrespective of what he does in the next 2 or 3 weeks, because of my other transfer plans and because he's a bit too pricey for my liking. But yeah, I think he's a fantastic option to bring in. He's playing Leicester and Ipswich in the next 2 weeks. I mean, doesn't exactly get better than that.
Yeah, even Villa at St James's Park is a fine fixture. Like 54% of people watching right now, over half of 450 people are going to own him. Like, engaged managers are going to be on Isak this week.
Yeah. I keep jumping on and off of him and I keep missing. And that's the problem,
I started the season with him and he didn't really do it for me.
He's having a weird season. You watch his movements and you watch the way he's actually playing, and it's all totally fine.
Yeah.
The goal contributions just haven't been there to reflect it. Even like that Brentford one the other day, he had to take it past the goalkeeper and he knocks it off his feet. There are just moments like that where you're like, oh, how's that happened? So I haven't got him at the moment, and I don't know when I'll be getting him back.
Yeah, 6 goals, 3 assists. It's not amazing. It's fine. But 8.6, he's not cheap. Not cheap at all. Me and Big Man both own Solanke. Solanke to Isak, if they were closer in price, if they were like 0.5, that 1.1, then maybe that'd be a move I'd be making. But Big Man, just give me your... I know your thoughts, but for the sake of the viewers, Solanke to Isak, worth the transfer or not?
It depends on the rest of the team. Honestly, it's something you can consider if you have, let's say, the luxury of 3 or 4 free transfers. But for a lot of people like myself, for example, I can get to Isak in 2 moves. I have 2 free transfers. I can downgrade Pedro Porro to, let's say, Colville or Hall, and I can do Solanke to Isak. But I'm deciding against it because I think transfers will be needed later down the line. For example, I'm looking at getting Trent in, which a lot of people don't own currently. And then prioritizing the doubles in the weeks to come as well. So, yeah, even though I expect Newcastle to do really well in the next 2 weeks, and Isak in particular to perform well, But I'll just hope that Solanke comes close to matching him, because Southampton away isn't exactly a bad fixture either. It's one of the best that you can get.
It is, yeah. I mean, who knows what version of Tottenham turn up, but it should be a game you can rely on. $2 more just come through the door, boys. And Burmo to Gordon, worth it if no Isak, says Willis. Thank you for your $2, mate. I don't know about Gordon. I can't get my head around Gordon this season. I mean, I'd say yes for the fixture, but I'm backing the fixture more than the player, I think.
He's had a bit of a knock as well. He was benched last time out. I do like Gordon as a punt this week, if you can't get to Isak, though. But yeah, he hasn't been his best. We've seen him playing on the right a bit for Barnes, who plays on the left. I think we'll see Gordon on the left and Murphy on the right, though. Murphy got 2 assists last time out, I think, against Brentford. So Gordon on the left is much better, and he should be fit and ready to go. So I don't mind a punt on Gordon. But it is a punt. Yeah. He's not as reliable as Isak.
No.
What do you reckon about his minutes? I mean, Barnes started over him last week. Was it a bit of rest?
But he was injured. I think he had a knock because he went off the game before that with an injury. So I'm pretty sure that Barnes' start was purely down to Gordon's not fit enough to play 90.
That's fair.
Yeah. Matt Perry asked, would you switch Vissa or João Pedro to Isak for a free?
I struggle to think about selling a Vissa. He's been that good.
He has been good.
But I wouldn't want to sell João Pedro either. I think I'd hold them both.
Yeah. It doesn't seem... It is an upgrade, but it doesn't feel enough like one at the moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be scared off of it a little bit.
Oh, we've got to get to our teams. Got to get to our teams. So 474 of you watching. How many of you have hit the like and subscribe button, eh?
How many of you are members? Certainly not 400 of you. You can do that if you want.
77 is the like button. That's a disgrace.
Subscribe, like, join as a member. Thank you for watching, everyone. Right, here's my team.
You got 2 minutes.
For Chris Wood and João Pedro up front.
At the end of the show.
The thing I do like about my team is I've got a load of home fixtures. And even the away ones, I'm not scared of. So I like that. I haven't made a transfer yet. I don't know what to do with Gabriel. I'll probably gamble on him. And that's
you've got to get Liam Delap in ahead of Aina or Dean. Liam Delap against Wolves.
Yeah. I haven't. That he'll be in the team. Yeah, I mean,
Kirkes is decent this week as well. He's getting a clean sheet.
Yeah, Kirkes should be a good pick. And Burmo and Mazraoui, I think I will have on the bench. I don't know who the third one will be.
Is Brennan staying in your team?
I think so. Yeah, he's playing Southampton.
Armband on Salah. There we go.
And he's good at obviously Werner's not playing for Tottenham after what Andrew's just said about him.
Good point.
So it's going to be Sonny, Solanke, and Johnson, I would imagine.
Poor Timo. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about Timo in terms of attitude. Like he's always been.
Well, mate, Postecoglou stuck up for him week after week after week when he has had bad games, and he's always seen him as a good squad player. Werner started more games this season than he ever would have. That Andrew would have actually liked him to, and he's right. He needs him to turn up for a game like that.
Yeah,
and his finishing is rubbish. His finishing is just dreadful.
Postecoglou shouldn't have signed him then. We knew that.
Well, he's not a bad signing on loan. This is the thing.
Yeah.
He's not a bad loan signing, but he's just being used more than they wanted, and yeah, unfortunately, he's not consistent enough.
Won Chelsea a Champions League final. I mean, I'd say won it. He was in the starting 11 when we won it.
I don't know if it was down to him, that one.
Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, and Timo Werner, the front three.
Hey.
Yeah, I was saying, Dean, have you considered doubling up on the Arsenal defense? I think you can afford Mazraoui to Timber. So that I'd consider that actually.
Oh, that's quite a nice one.
Arsenal's
that's quite nice. Yeah.
That would upgrade your defense. And because your defense needs a bit of work.
It does,
Then then I think Timber would be a very nice upgrade to your team. And he's affordable as well because the difference is 1.1 million, and Timber would, I think it'd be exact cash or 0.1 short.
Yeah, that's a nice pick actually. Yeah, I'll probably look into that one because as I say, the only other transfer I was considering was I was worried about Gabriel not playing, and I was potentially going to switch him to Timber, but obviously I want Gabriel long term, and if he's going to be back soon, then that would be silly. Yeah, but that's definitely something to say for. Mark says I'll be left with 3 middling strikers if I end up doing that. I don't really know at this point what other strikers I would go for. I've got a bit of money in the bank, so I'm not too worried about that, Mark. Got enough chips coming up that I can use.
There we go. Okay, well, we look forward to seeing your team on the Twitter before the deadline. If you can do a post, do follow Dean, guys. Our handles are all at the bottom. Big Man's, Dean's, mine, if you fancy it. Obviously, Chasing Green Arrows are also on Instagram, by the way. We're doing like Insta Reels now as well. So if you want like short snippets, the best bits of the show, they're on Instagram. So do make sure you follow Chasing Green Arrows across all social platforms. And if you're a cricket fan, there's a channel called Chasing the Target. Yeah, it's actually our brother channel.
Sister channel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sister brother channel. So check out Chasing the Target if you're a cricket fan. Big Man, there's a big cricket event on at the moment, isn't there? You're a cricket fan. What's going on?
I'm a huge cricket fan. There's the Border Gavaskar Trophy going on, which is the series between India and Australia, and it's very, very hyped because it's a very big test series between two top teams, and there's the Boxing Day test coming up as well. So yeah, I'm watching pretty much every day of it. There's in fact a game tomorrow. It's like 5:20 a.m. my time, so I might consider watching it and waking up early, or maybe staying up the night for it.
Love that. Chasing the Target, guys. Check it out. This is my team. I'm pretty sure I'm doing Bruno out to Enzo. I know. Selling Bruno could cost me, but I think Trent is a better pick than Bruno. I don't think there's much in it. I love Bruno. He goes. By the way, he played in the midfield 2 again last night. I think he probably plays front 3 versus City, but it's a lottery.
Yeah, I mean, he's only doing that because Zagate and Manu weren't starting.
Yeah. It's still too often for my liking, but yeah,
it's not really working though. Like, he can't carry on with it because it's not working.
Yeah, he's not a midfield 2 type of player. So yeah. Bruno out, Enzo in, and then it allows me to go Greaves up to Trent. I could sell that gives me 0.9 in the bank moving forward by selling Greaves. I could cut my losses with Rico Lewis, but I just think long term, Rico Lewis at 4.7 million is still a good own. And I know City are conceding goals, and I know he's not absolutely nailed, but I just think second half of the season he's going to play most games, and he's going to be a good enough pick. So if he's my defender 3-4 on a rotation with a Lewis Hall, I'm okay with that. Big Man? Agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can afford to keep Lewis, then do, because Ake is injured, and I'd expect Lewis to play pretty much most of the games that are coming up, especially because most of them are relatively easy after Aston Villa. So I still think he'll play and he'll be a good pick. But I think the thing that you sort of need to take into consideration is that if Gabriel misses out this week, then your bench is pretty thin.
Yeah, well, I've got Trent coming in, and Lewis Hall with a good fixture. So I'd have Trent and Hall.
But that's what Greaves, no?
Yeah, so I'd have Trent and Hall, so 2 good defenders. And then I would have to have a Mikolenko or a Mikolenko coming in, which is dreadful, but I just suck it up.
Yeah, Mikolenko is definitely worth keeping for sure because of the potential double as well. And that is huge.
Yeah, and look, keeping Greaves as well, by the way. We don't even know if Greaves is going to start. Like, he missed out last time.
The other centre back, I think his name is Burgess. He was actually really, really good. So I'm not sure whether Greaves. Burgess. So I don't think Greaves gets his spot back actually.
I know, and they spent quite a lot of money on him, I think. But yeah, Dean, the only other move I've got in the back of my mind somewhere, and I'm not making it, but I hoped to, because of price rises, I can't anyway. But Solanke out for Isak. What's your take on Solanke?
He's playing Southampton away, and he's a good player. I'm like Southampton. I mean, what does Southampton do? They do those dreadful passes out of the back. Solanke's waiting to get on the end of one of those. Presser. He's a good presser, so I would definitely stick with Solanke for that one.
There we go. We'll spin the narrative to suit our agenda. Yeah, the passing out the back and the pressing is why Solanke's going to bang this week. Come on, boy. So many that own Solanke have already binned him off, but me and Big Man are keeping the faith. Big Man, let's see your team next. From those 77 likes we had, by the way, guys, thank you. You did react. We've hit triple figures.
Oh, we have. We got to 100. Good for us. Good for us. Last 5 minutes. So, big man, you got a mini version.
A mini pixelated version for you, big man. It's your punishment for being late. You get a slightly better.
This is mine. Right, this is mine. So I'll start Gabriel with the news that he could be available. I don't know whether he will be, but I'll have to then have a benching dilemma between Dunk and Rodgers. As mentioned earlier, I don't see enough of a reason to make a transfer this week. I think my team is in a reasonably good position, even if Gabriel misses out. And I currently have 2 free transfers, but I want to have 3. And then I can maybe get to Trent and Allison and perhaps as a by game week 18. I mean, those are the transfers that I'm looking at. But for now, this week, I don't think there's too much to decide. Palmer will be my captain. Salah will be my vice. I think the only big decision I have this week is to bench one of Dunk or Rodgers. And currently, I'm benching Rodgers. So, Gianni, you are benching Rodgers yourself.
Yeah.
Which way would you go between Dunk and Rodgers? Who would you start and who would you bench? I'm currently leaning towards benching Rodgers for what it's worth.
I am benching Rodgers, you're right. But I still think I would play him over most 4.5 defenders in the game, including Dunk, just because I always think ceiling. And look, Dunk's ceiling feels like, yeah, of course he could score, but realistic ceiling is 6-pointer. Rodgers could brace 2 returns, right? And therefore his ceiling is higher. His floor, though, Dunk, maybe is also, I don't know, his floors are similar. I can't see a clean sheet for Dunk. I personally would play Rodgers, but don't know.
That's fair.
In the back of my mind,
I get it.
Rodgers is going to get a rest. Like, he has started every single match for Aston Villa this
season.
See,
that is also playing in my head because if I think that Rodgers is going to get, let's say, close to 70 minutes, 75 minutes, then it's a tricky decision. But if Rodgers is getting over 80 minutes, then obviously I'll play Rodgers. But those minutes are also playing in my head because he recently got 19 in the Champions League as well.
Yeah, the good thing is Villa don't have an EFL Cup game. So they play this weekend and then they don't play again until the 21st of December. They, for once, get a midweek off. What do you reckon, Dean, with Rodgers Dunk or Rodgers minutes?
I've been off Rodgers for a while, haven't I? I never talk positively about Rodgers. He's such a good player, but I would probably leave Rodgers for this one. I don't know. My hunch would just... I don't really trust Aston Villa at the moment. I think that's probably what it's come down to. I think that the spell of games that they've been through has been a little bit leveling out from where they actually looked like they were earlier on in the season. And I think they're better in the Champions League than they are in the Premier League. So I'm also wondering if they're actually starting to wonder if that's going to become the more important factor to them. Obviously, there's no game in the Champions League now for a few weeks. But this Premier League version, it wouldn't surprise me if Aston Villa go there and lose this weekend. So I wouldn't really have him.
Tough place to go, the City Ground.
It is. It's a hard place. I mean, they've just got a really good unity and they got a good system in place at the moment, which means that it works. And it doesn't mean you can't beat them, but you've got to put together a flawless plan of your own to go there and work. And Aston Villa at the moment are a little bit iffy. In midweek, that was their best performance that Villa have put together in a while. It was a really good game from them, but I'm not convinced they're going to put it out consistently. So that's where I am at the moment. AK says hold or sell Haaland. Just hold him. I mean, just hold him.
You've come this far. On Villa, by the way, Watkins might not be guaranteed to start this weekend. Maybe. Don't know. Duran banger, injury problem.
Keeps happening though. Yeah, I mean, Duran definitely deserves starts. It's just whether they're brave enough to leave out Watkins. If he's got a knock, it's a good opportunity to do that. Duran is like one of the players of the season. Barely starts a game, which is surreal. He's got so much confidence. Great goal the other day.
Oh, so good. There we go. Big man, there are loads of questions coming in, and you've kindly said you're going to stay and answer some. So Dean and I are going to say our goodbyes, but you're going to do a 10-minute Q&A, guys. So do not go anywhere. because you need big man's take here, and he's going to talk more about the key questions of the game week. So look, we'll all be back, or Dean and I will be back on Monday. So come see us at 2:00 Monday, this time slot. And me and Big Man will be back on Wednesday and then again Friday. With the Christmas period, though, we will be tweeting with good notice when we are going out. In fact, we'll probably make a schedule and we'll probably post that schedule so you know when we're going to be live. But make sure when you're subscribing, you hit that notification bell, because we don't want you missing out on the shows. And over the festive period, days, times, they're not going to be our normal ones. So make sure you are following CJ across all channels. And when they post the Christmas schedule, you'll see it. Right, Dean, I'll say goodbye, mate.
Yes, mate. See you later. See you later, big man. See you later, all chasers.
See you later, guys.
Dean.
Good luck.
Cheers, everyone.
Send in your questions. I'll take your questions for the next 10 minutes.
Cheers, big man. I'm going to go, guys. I will see you after you're done with Big Man. Come and say hello. I'll be live on my channel. But stay with Big Man for the next 10, 15 minutes and then come see me. Bye.
See you, bro. Take care. Saad is asking, I sell Watkins and Delap with -4 and get Isak and Jackson. What do you think? I hate taking hits. I mean, it depends on the rest of your team. So without looking at the rest of the team, it's difficult to suggest making those transfers. But yeah, I generally don't like taking hits. Bench Bruno and Bomo. I'd bench Bruno, I think, from the two. Bench one, Watkins and Bomo. Semenyo, vote for Pedro. I definitely won't bench Pedro. Can we have the question back, please? I sort of want to read it again. Yeah, Watkins and Bomo. Semenyo, vote Pedro. I think from those, I'd probably bench Bomo, considering the fixture, or would, but I think I'd probably bench Mpomo. It's really tough between those two. Yeah, next question is from Matthew. Our assistant manager is subject to price changes. They haven't really mentioned anything of the sort, and it would be interesting to see some transparency on that matter, but for now we can assume not. Shivro is asking bench 2 from Raul, 8 Nuri, Porro, and Rogers. I think I would bench Porro and Raul. I think I'd probably bench Rogers and Raul, actually, from those two. Matthew is asking Kirkes or Munoz of buying now for Greaves or Vanderberg. I think Munoz would be a really good player to own from game week 19 onwards, which is game week 18 onwards, which is the spell from which I want Eze as well. But if you're looking at someone to play for the next 2 weeks, then the fixtures aren't ideal. If you can cover the defense, I'd definitely buy Munoz in that scenario. Next question is from Phil Mackim. Big man, would you have double Arsenal defense and Liverpool defense? Why not? I think Trent is a really good pick. I'm looking at Alisson as well. I already have Saliba. I have Gabriel. So it's something I'm looking at for my own team. I mean, it makes a lot of sense for a lot of teams. Hi, Heather. Verbruggen and Huijsen or Kepa and Munoz? I'd go Kepa and Munoz, I think. Next question is from Sydney Van Hecken, Bowen for Enzo and Trent. Your thoughts, please. Who does Bowen have this week, actually? Let me have a look at West Ham's fixtures. Bournemouth away is not bad, actually. Then United away, Southampton away. Bowen's fixtures are still all right. He's not necessarily a sell, I think. I think you can perhaps looking at keeping him, but I would definitely look at finding another route for Trent. Yeah. Next question is from Matthew. Bench Rogers or Enzo? I would probably bench Rogers, I think. This is really tough, though. Next question is from Eddie. Hi, Eddie. Would you do Guardiola out to Trent? I think I would. Because Guardiola was actually playing in an attacking position recent weeks, but he's sort of playing as a left centre-back now. So I'm not really sure whether he's going to keep up those attacking positions, and I think Trent is a huge upgrade. So I would get Trent for cardio. Taylor is asking transfer in Hall or Colwell. I think both are pretty good. Colwell is probably the better long-term pick, though, and definitely more secure for starts, I think, over an extended period of time. But when you look at Chelsea's fixtures, they're like really good all the way up till game week 22. So I think for the longevity of the fixtures, I'd just go with Colwell. Sally is asking 1 FT Haaland to Isak or Rogers to Enzo. It depends on what selling Haaland allows. It's really sort of difficult to answer this question in isolation. I think I'd keep Rogers, though, and I'd probably do the Haaland transfer. Next question is from Kareem. Who to bench, Semenyo, Larson, or Enzo? Just a second. My camera isn't working. It should be. We're back now. Yeah, who to bench? Semenyo, Larson, or Enzo? I think I'd bench Larson from those, even though this is like a really difficult decision. And it just goes to show that how strong your team is, because you probably have 8 playable attackers. I think all 3 of them could do really well. But benching an attacker away, at home to Ipswich does not feel right either. So I'd probably just flip a coin. Bought in Matoma last week and has had Semenyo since the start. This week I need to bench one. Who? I think I'd play Semenyo. His underlying data is actually better than Matoma's. Hello, Yusuf. Yusuf is asking start Matoma, João Pedro for sure because of penalties. Hi, Nemanja. Get Trent, Saliba, and Semenyo, or just get VVD and Timber 2FD. I think Trent is much of an upgrade on Van Dijk. So I'll look at Trent, but I wouldn't necessarily force them in for a hit. So either save a transfer this week and, like myself, get Trent in with multiple free transfers by game week 18. I think you should probably look at that. Hi, Terry. Please answer, should I do Cunha and Nouri to Isak and Van Dijk, but for -4? No, I think you should keep Cunha and Nouri this week because the fixtures at home to Ipswich. I can understand why it's basically why you have the fear of missing out of Isak, because I think he'll do well as well. But for a -4, if Cunha does well as well, then you're probably going to end up with a net loss. Next question is from Trilho. Who would you start between Dunk and Lewis Hall? I would play Hall, I think. I think I'd go Hall because Leicester's attack is poorer. F. Roy, hello. Big man, my defense is weak. Planning to do Lewis to Trent. If Gabriel is injured, should I take a minus from Go Timber? No, I don't think you should take a hit because there's a chance that Gabriel can play. Next question is from Z Hansu. Hey, big man, would you do -4 to swap Gabriel and Bowman Cunha for Trent Enzo? No, I've answered similar questions. I don't think I'd sell good players for a 4-point hit. Luke is asking, should I take a -4 to swap Greaves to Kirk as my defense in the mud if Gabriel doesn't start? I think you should probably risk the Gabriel start, actually. Because even if Gabriel doesn't start, then the guy you buy will come in, but you're effectively going to need him to get a clean sheet to break even. So, yeah, I think you should just risk the Gabriel start. Hello, Shovro, Flecken versus Fabianski. Yeah, I mean, this is tricky this week. I'm fancying both of them to concede. I think I'd probably go Flecken for the save points. But clean sheet odds will probably have Fabianski a bit higher, I think. But I think Flecken for the saves would be where I go. Hello, Darren. Which two to play from Strand Larson, João Pedro, and Watkins? I think I would play João Pedro for sure, and maybe Strand Larson. But again, it's tricky. Buy Saliba or Timber? This is a very interesting question, and this is one I've sort of contemplated on for a lot of weeks. I got Saliba instead, and when I got Saliba, I was actually fairly annoyed at myself because I didn't exactly see Timber starting all these games consistently, but then he did, and he was taking up attacking positions for a price of 0.5 million less. But then Saliba outscored him. So if I'm looking at outcome bias, I'm satisfied with the Saliba hauls, of course, but I think if I was still buying one, I would prefer Timber for the price. Hello, Steve. Bench Gabriel Hall or Nouri? I don't think I'd bench Gabriel. I'd probably bench Nouri, I think, in your team. Hello, I feel Doctor. Missed the question. Can you bring it up again? Flecken, Gabriel, Ryan, Nouri. What to do? 3 free transfers, 0 on the bank. I think this team looks good to save, actually. I don't think you need to make any transfer. It's fairly similar to my team, and it's very strong. So, yeah, I think I'd save. Hello, Lil Willen. Best striker under 7 million. I already have Petro and Isak. Funnily enough, I think it's Raul Jimenez. I think he should start most of the games going forward. Yes, he will be subbed off around the 70-minute mark, but the fixtures for Fulham after this week are still pretty good, and he rotates really well with cheap enablers like Semenyo and Rogers, so that's the way I would go. Nikolai is asking Fabianski and Timber or Alisson and Milinkovic if Gabriel is out. Yeah, I mean, who are Forest playing this week? I think I'd go with the former. I'd probably go with the former. All right, guys. Thank you very much for sending in your questions. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the videos to show your support. And if you still want to consume more FPL content, then you can head over to Johnny's stream, because he's also going to be similarly answering your questions. So good luck from us for the rest of the week, and we'll see you next week.